Some nights are loud even when nothing makes a sound. The fridge hums too much. The clock ticks too hard. The walls breathe like they're holding a secret. That's the kind of night it was. The kind that looks ordinary until you start listening. Brianna was standing by the hallway mirror, fixing her hair for the fourth time. New perfume, new earrings, that black dress I'd never seen before. "You're sure you don't mind if I go?" she asked, but it sounded more like permission for the alibi than an actual question. "Girls' night?" She smiled without looking at me. "You know how it is. Wine, gossip, emotional damage." Her tone was playful, but her eyes were on herself, not me. "I'll be home by 11, she added, grabbing her purse. 11, I repeated. "Got it." I tried to sound casual, like a guy who totally believed his wife had two best friends who suddenly rediscovered nightlife. She kissed me on the cheek, quick, rehearsed, distant. The door closed, heels clicking on the porch, the car engine humming to life. Then came the silence. At first it was nice. I like quiet. I turned on the TV, poured myself some coffee, and let the sound fill the room just enough to make it feel less empty. Some competition show was on. People screaming about cakes like sugar was a religion. I wasn't really watching, just staring through it. 10 minutes passed, then 20. The house felt like it was holding its breath. By 10:30, I checked my phone once, then again. Just curiosity, not worry, not yet. At 10:45, I texted her, "Everything okay?" Read no reply. Okay, maybe the music's loud, maybe she left her phone in her purse. No big deal. At 11 o'clock, I started doing that thing where you walk around the house pretending to look for something. I stood by the window. Empty street, quiet neighborhood. I told myself she'd be home any minute. 11's not that late. But 11 came and went, and the minutes got heavier. At 11:15, another text. "Where are you?" Read again. Nothing. A tiny knot formed in my chest. Not anger. Fear. Real, physical fear. What if something happened? What if she was in a car accident? I pictured headlights, a crumpled fender, flashing lights, her phone somewhere on the road. My pulse picked up. I actually reached for my keys. Then I stopped. If she'd crashed, someone would have called. The police, the hospital. Someone. In the end, the SMS would not have been read. I went back to the couch and stared at the phone, waiting for it to light up. When it didn't, I tried to think of every normal explanation possible. Bad signal, too much wine, lost track of time. I kept inventing stories to protect her from the truth, even though I didn't know what the truth was yet. That's what love does. It gives you an unlimited budget for excuses. By 11:40, I couldn't sit still anymore. I called. It rang 5 times, then voicemail. Tried again. Straight to voicemail this time. Okay, now it's weird. Even if she was with the girls, someone always answers. Always. You don't just disappear for 2 hours without a word. I sat down again, rubbed my hands over my face, and said out loud, "She's fine." But my voice didn't sound convincing, even to me. At midnight, I made another cup of coffee I didn't want. The kitchen clock ticked so loud it felt personal. I turned the TV back on, hoping for distraction, but all I saw was my reflection in the dark screen. Tired eyes, tight jaw, the kind of face that knows too much and hopes it's wrong. I remembered something stupid. 2 weeks ago, Brianna came home from work glowing. She said they'd hired a new project manager, Dylan. "Really smart guy," she'd said. "Funny too. Finally someone who can organize things around here." She'd laughed. I hadn't. I pushed the thought away then. Now it came back like a cold draft through a closed window. 12:10. Still nothing. I picked up the phone again. Another text. "You okay?" Getting worried. Read. No reply. She was reading them. Right there, somewhere, holding her phone, seeing my name pop up, and choosing silence. That silence hurt more than any words could have. At 12:25, I started talking to myself. Quietly, sarcastically, like a man trying to stay sane. Maybe her phone fell in a volcano. Maybe the girls went to space. I laughed. It sounded fake. I checked her last location on the map. Location sharing paused. Of course it was. That's when it started to click. The little memories lining up like dominoes. The new perfume. The new clothes from a sale. The sudden gym membership she never used before. The night she came home late and said, "We lost track of time." The way she'd suddenly started showering right after walking in. And the phone, always face down, always silent, always with her, even in the bathroom. None of it screamed at me before, but tonight it all whispered together, and the chorus was ugly. At 12:40, I stopped pacing. I just stood in the hallway, staring at the front door, like if I stared hard enough, she'd walk in and the world would go back to normal. Nothing happened. The door stayed closed. I sat back down on the couch. The mug of coffee had gone cold. I didn't even notice when the TV turned itself off again. 1 a.m. No messages. I opened our old photos, vacations, birthdays, stupid selfies where we laughed at nothing. It felt like looking at ghosts. All that easy comfort, gone. Every smile suddenly looked rehearsed. 1:20 a.m. I thought about calling again, but didn't. I didn't want to hear the voicemail one more time. I just sat there, the phone face up on the table, the screen reflecting my face back at me. That's when it hit me. The thing I'd been avoiding all night. She wasn't missing. She was just gone. And not by accident. At 2 a.m., the phone buzzed. Finally. "Relax. I'll explain." That was it. 3 words, 1 promise, 0 respect. No sorry, no love you, no panic. Just relax. Like I was the one who messed up. I stared at the message for a long time. Every nerve in me wanted to call, to scream, to demand answers. But instead I felt still, like something heavy had finally stopped moving. I typed slowly, each word deliberate. No need to explain. Stay with him. You're single now. Sent. The sound of the message whoosh felt final. I set the phone down on the coffee table. No dramatic sigh, no tears, just quiet. The kind of quiet that means you've stopped pretending. 20 minutes later, headlights crawled up the driveway, doors slammed, quick steps, keys rattling. The door opened and Brianna rushed in, hair a mess, eyes wide, face streaked with mascara. "Mark," she gasped, "please, it's not what you think." I looked at her for a long second. "Good," I said evenly. "Because I was thinking you were helping someone move a couch at 1 in the morning. If it's just a fridge, then I owe you an apology." She froze in the doorway, holding her purse like it could protect her. "I was with Melissa. Melissa lives in Denver," I said calmly. "You want another spin?" Her mouth opened and closed. "I meant Nora." "Nora works nights at urgent care." Try again, Brianna's face twitched. She had a panic attack. I tilted my head. At her job. In a hospital. Convenient. Her voice cracked. "Can we not do this like an interrogation? Can I sit down?" I gestured toward the couch. "Sure. It's seen worse performances." She sat gingerly, hands shaking. I mixed up the names because I panicked. "Right," I said. "You panicked and accidentally picked 2 people who couldn't possibly back you up. That's a rare talent." "Mark, please, I'm not mad," I said quietly. "Just finally accurate." She looked down at her lap. "I was with someone." I nodded once. "Who?" "It doesn't matter." "It does." She swallowed hard. "Dylan." And there it was. The name that had been floating around for weeks like background noise. "He runs our project," she added quickly, voice breaking. "It wasn't supposed to happen." "Project manager?" I said. "The guy who schedules meetings about meetings?" She blinked away tears. "You don't understand." "I understand perfectly," I said. "You just didn't think I would." She didn't say anything after "you don't understand." She just stared at her hands like maybe there was a version of the night written on her knuckles that I couldn't read. The house had that same tight silence as before, but now it felt crowded, like every lie she told in the last month had come home to watch this. "How long?" I asked. Her eyes flicked up, then down. "I don't know." "Try," I said. "You're good at trying." "Try honesty." She swallowed. "A few weeks." "How many is a few?" "6," she said so softly it almost wasn't language. 6 weeks. I felt it land. Not a punch. More like a book dropped on a table you didn't know was glass. Something in me flexed to keep from breaking. "And tonight?" I asked. "Was tonight special or just on schedule?" It was the first time, I swear. She looked up quick, like the words were a life jacket. This was the first. "Congratulations," I said. "You waited 6 weeks to do the thing you'd been practicing in your head for 5. That's not fair." "Then let me be fair," I said. "Tell me everything." She blinked fast. A tear dropped and made a small dark circle on her dress. "It started after the new project kickoff. He was helping me with some deadlines. We got coffee after a meeting. And then he started, I don't know, checking in. Saying I looked tired, asking about my day, stuff you used to do." I looked at her. "I still ask about your day." "You ask like you're taking attendance," she said. "He asks like he's staying?" "Right," I said. "Men who have explanations at 2 a.m. are known for staying." She pressed her lips together. "We just talked. It made me feel not invisible." She flinched. "I'm not proud of it." "You sure?" I asked. "Because if we're passing out trophies, you've got creative writing, alibis locked up." She looked hurt. I didn't enjoy it. It just felt deserved. The air between us was a long hallway with no doors. She wiped her face. "We were just friends." And then it got close. Stupid close. He'd send me a meme and I'd laugh too hard. He'd touch my arm when he walked by. I tried to ignore it. You tried to ignore it by buying new perfume and a dress and pretending girls' night happens on weeknights? She stared at the table. "I know how it sounds." "It sounds like you studied for the test," I said, then pretended you didn't know we had one. There was a pause. She looked up again, and this time the look was naked. No performance. No little grin meant to disarm me. "I messed up," she said. "I messed up in a way that doesn't have an easy fix. I know that." "You've put a lot of thought into this," I said, "for someone who only learned the word consequence tonight." "Please," she whispered. "Don't make a joke out of this." "I'm not," I said. "I'm trying to stop myself from making a promise I won't keep. I'm not a yeller. I'm not going to smash things. I'm just going to say what's true, and then I'm going to live like it." She breathed in, held it, let it go. "Ask me whatever you want." "Okay," I said. "Did you ever bring him into our house?" "No," she said fast. "God, no." "Did you ever take off your ring for him?" She looked at her hand like the ring might answer for her. "No." "Did you tell him we were not doing well so you'd feel cleaner kissing him?" Her shoulders lifted, fell. "Yes." I nodded once. "That one's a classic." "He listened," she said. "He made me feel like I mattered. Like I wasn't just—" "Don't finish that sentence," I said. "You'll make yourself believe it." She closed her eyes. "I know I'm the bad guy." "You're the one who made a new life without ending the old one," I said. "Bad guy is efficient shorthand." Another tear. "It wasn't supposed to get this far." "Nothing is," I said. "That's how far happens." For a while we just sat. She breathed like the air was a chore. I sipped what was left of my coffee and winced at the temperature, which felt appropriate. Cold, burnt, late. Then I asked, "What's his last name?" She hesitated. "It matters?" "It does to me," I said. She told me. It fit his first name too well, like his parents had branded him future project manager at birth. "Does his wife know?" I asked. "He's not married." "Of course he isn't," I said. Kings don't wear rings. She frowned. He isn't like that. He's exactly like that, I said gently. You just haven't known him long enough to see the pattern. She started to cry again, quietly at first, then messier. I don't want to lose you. I think you lost me 6 weeks ago, I said. Tonight you just ran the final report. Her shoulders shook. Can we fix it? Can we try therapy or something? Anything? You want to know the worst part? I said. I thought about it. Earlier tonight while I was pacing. I rehearsed the conversations, the rules, the steps. I made a whole decision tree in my head. That's what I do, right? I optimize and then your text came, I said. Relax, I'll explain. And I realized I am so tired of being told to relax by people who cause the panic. I didn't mean... You meant exactly that, I said, calm. You meant hold still while I roll out a story. I don't want the story anymore. I want the quiet that comes after the truth. She stared at me like I'd just closed a door she didn't know was there. What does that mean? This means that I call my lawyer in the morning, I said. Please, she whispered. Don't do this. We can come back from this. We can come back from a lot of things, I said. We can't come back from who you've been becoming and who I've had to be to ignore it. She covered her mouth with both hands. The sound she made wasn't pretty. I didn't want to be cruel, but I wasn't going to carry her away from the edge she'd walked to. After a moment, she dropped her hands and tried one last time for a smaller branch. Do you at least want to hear him? He can explain. Call him, I said, surprising myself. Put it on speaker. Her eyes widened. Right now? Right now. She fumbled with her phone, thumbs clumsy with panic, found his name, tapped. The dial tone filled the room, too loud for 2 people who didn't blink. 1 ring, 2, 3, 4. Then the click of the call ending. Not to voicemail, not to anything. Just a decline. She stared at the screen. Tried again. Declined again. Tried a 3rd time. Straight to voicemail. She lowered the phone like it had become heavy. He must be... Busy? I offered. Recalculating? Choosing a lane? It's late, she said weakly. It is, I agreed. It's very late. She looked like she wanted to disappear inside the couch. He's not a bad person, I nodded. That's what you say about a dog that chews shoes. Men who hide behind other people's marriages get a different label. She flinched again, then went quiet. The kind of quiet that has no more room for arguments. Outside, the night felt thinner. Inside, everything felt measured. I stood up, not a dramatic gesture. Just standing. She followed the movement with her eyes. What happens now? She asked. Now, I said, you sleep somewhere else. I want to fix this, she said. You can want both, I said. Only one's available. She nodded, small and slow, and rose like the air was heavier near the ceiling. She took 2 steps toward the hallway, then turned back. I'm sorry. I know, I said. I wish you'd been sorry while it was still a choice. She looked like she might say something else, but the moment didn't allow it. She left. Time did what it always does, moved with or without my permission. At some point, the dark started to turn the color of early morning. My phone lay face up on the table. I hadn't touched it since the call. I didn't know what I was waiting for, but I was good at waiting now. Practice makes permanent. Around 5, it buzzed. A regular call, not a text. Her mother's name on the screen. I picked up. Hey, Karen. Her voice came in hot, already mid-accusation. She says you threw her out in the middle of the night. Threw her out? I said. That's creative. I told her to leave. She had options. Her car, her friend, the man she picked instead of her husband. There was a pause, the kind that tastes like disbelief. Mark, 3 nights. Right, I said. Almost 6, actually. People do all sorts of adult things at night these days, Karen. I'm just late to the trend. She sighed, a mix of worry and irritation. You shouldn't have sent her out like that. I shouldn't have had to, I said. You can add that to your morning prayers. Her tone softened, trying to pivot. She's crying. She said she had nowhere to go. Then she should have thought about where she'd sleep before she thought about where she'd cheat, I said, calm as a doctor reading lab results. There was another pause, then the faint sound of someone else's voice behind her. Richard, probably, trying to get the short version. Karen muffled the phone, whispered something, then came back on. She told us she made a mistake. She's made a few, I said. That one just finally caught up with her. Mark, please. Karen, I interrupted gently. You raised a daughter who lies better than she listens. I'm not blaming you, but I'm not saving her either. I heard her exhale. We're coming over. You don't need to, I said. She's not here. What do you mean she's not there? I mean I told her to pack and leave. She left about an hour ago. Oh my God. Relax, I said, using her daughter's favorite word. She's fine. She's got her car, her phone, and the project manager's number. That's more support than most people have at her age. The silence on the other end wasn't empty. It was processing. Then, we're still coming. Suit yourself, I said. I'll make coffee. There's plenty of explaining to go around. By the time they pulled into the driveway, the morning had finally decided to be morning. Pale light, birds who didn't care about human disasters. I stood in the kitchen, sipping from a mug that still smelled faintly like her perfume. It wasn't poetic, just annoying. The knock came exactly like I expected. Polite, controlled, disappointed. I opened the door. Karen looked like she hadn't blinked since she hung up. Richard stood behind her, silent, composed, the kind of man who doesn't waste words until he has to. Where is she? Karen asked immediately. No idea, I said. Maybe crying in the car? Maybe at a diner pretending to read the menu. Take your pick. Mark, please, she said. You could have let her stay until morning. Richard cleared his throat. Let's talk. We went inside. I motioned toward the table. Karen sat. Richard stayed standing. They both looked at me like I was the principal about to explain something awful their kid did in school. She told us about Dylan, Karen said quietly. Good, I said. That saves me the introduction. She says it was a mistake. It was, I said, just not the kind you trip over. You walk there, step by step. Karen rubbed her forehead. You know how things happen. People drift apart. Maybe she didn't drift, I said. She took the wheel, checked the GPS, and hit start route. Karen looked at me again, eyes softer now. She's our daughter, Mark. I know, I said. And she was my wife. We both got a different version of her, didn't we? Karen's lips trembled. What do you want us to do? Nothing, I said. Just let her stay with you. Let her calm down. Maybe let her figure out who she's been talking to at 2 a.m. all this time. Karen looked like she wanted to argue, but Richard put a hand on her arm. He's right, he said. There's no patch for this kind of tear. She looked at him like he'd just switched sides. You're taking his part? I'm taking the truth's part, he said evenly. And it's ugly enough without us decorating it. That silenced the room for a moment. I sipped my coffee. The only sound was the ticking of the clock. Always the damn clock. They left a few minutes later. I watched their car pull out of the driveway and disappear down the street. The house was too quiet again, but now it was the right kind of quiet. Morning had the kind of brightness that felt rude. The sun came through the blinds like it had no idea what went down last night. Birds chirped. Somewhere down the block, a lawnmower coughed itself awake. Perfect weather for emotional wreckage. I made coffee, not because I needed it, but because making coffee is one of those normal things you do when your life stops being normal. There was still her mug on the counter, half full, lipstick on the rim. I picked it up, stared at it for a second, then dropped it into the trash can, Small victories count too. The house felt different, not peaceful, just empty in a way that hummed. You could hear the walls remember arguments. I took a shower, dressed, and got in the car. The city was awake and completely uninterested in my problems. People honking, rushing, scrolling. It's weird how the world never pauses to acknowledge that your life just collapsed. It just expects you to merge into traffic and keep up. Downtown was the same as always, too clean, too awake. I parked outside the law firm. Glass building, fake plants in the lobby, and a receptionist who smiled like she'd read the manual titled How to Comfort Strangers on the Verge of Divorce. "Appointment for Mark Ellis," I said. She nodded, clicked something on her computer, and pointed to the waiting area. Leather chairs, water cooler, motivational art about new beginnings. Cute. A man in a gray suit stepped out after a few minutes. Early 40s, calm face, eyes that said he'd seen this scene before. "Mark? Come on in." His office smelled like fresh paper and resignation. Diplomas, photos of his kids, a framed quote about fairness. "Rough morning?" he asked. "More like rough everything," I said. "Last night was just the season finale." He nodded, understanding too easily. "Let's talk logistics then. You want to separate or dissolve?" "Dissolve," I said, quickly and cleanly. "No shared assets beyond the house, no kids. I'll move out if it makes it easier." "You sound like a man who's already made peace," he said. "I sound like a man who ran out of fight," I said. He gave a small sympathetic smile and started typing. "Let's get the basics down." I told him the story, short version. No theatrics, just timestamps. 11 p.m. promise, 2 a.m. message, the other man, the lies, the suitcase. He didn't flinch, just nodded and made notes like he was writing weather updates. When I finished, he said quietly, "I've heard hundreds of these. You'd be surprised how often they all start with girls' night." "Not anymore," I said. "I'm retiring that phrase permanently." We went over the details. Property division, signatures, timeline. He told me I could have the papers ready by next week. "Once she's served," he said, "you can either meet in mediation or proceed unilaterally if she doesn't contest." "She won't," I said. "She's not built for confrontation. Just quiet sabotage." That one made him chuckle. "You've got humor still? That's a good sign." "It's not humor," I said. "It's defense." We shook hands. His grip was firm, steady. "Call me if you change your mind about anything," he said. "I already changed it," I said. "That's why I'm here." I walked out into sunlight that felt too honest. It hit me then. Not sadness, not relief, but this weird, numb clarity. Like the air had finally decided to stop lying too. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I didn't answer. A minute later, a text came through. "We need to talk. Please." No name. Didn't need one. I stared at it for a long second, then put the phone face down. I wasn't ready for her voice to turn the air heavy again. The second buzz came a few minutes later. Another message. "I just want you to know he's not who I thought he was." I smirked. "Join the club," I muttered. For some reason that one hit differently. Not because I cared, but because it confirmed what I'd already guessed. Dylan, the understanding guy, the one with the office charm and sad boy empathy, had done what guys like him always do. Vanished the moment accountability showed up. The next few days moved like slow water. I slept too much, ate too little, worked in silence. No text from her. Dylan apparently quit his job. Rumor had it he took a break to focus on himself. Of course he did. Men like him don't leave relationships, they leave accountability. I didn't gloat, but I also didn't feel bad. I just thought, that's the guy you burned a marriage for. Congratulations, you traded loyalty for LinkedIn quotes. The divorce papers came on a Thursday. They looked smaller than I expected. Just a few sheets of paper that could erase 8 years with the right signatures. I set them on the kitchen table and stared for a while. The house smelled like lemon cleaner. I'd started mopping on Sundays. Not because I liked cleaning, but because it gave me something predictable. There was a knock around noon. I opened the door. Brianna stood there, hair tied back, oversized hoodie, dark circles under her eyes. She looked normal, human, which was somehow worse. "Can I come in?" she asked. "You already did once," I said. That didn't end well. She gave a small, nervous smile. "I just want to talk." I thought about it, then stepped aside. 5 minutes. She walked in like the air felt heavier. Her eyes darted around. The living room, the empty wall where the photo used to hang, the clean table. "Looks different," she said. "Yeah," I said. It stopped pretending it was happy. She sat down, folded her hands. "You look different too." "Less stupid?" I asked. Her face fell. "Don't." "I'm not trying to hurt you," I said. "That's just me being honest for once." She nodded slowly. "I deserve that." For a few seconds, we just listened to the hum of the refrigerator. Then she said, "I signed the papers." "Good," I said. "I thought maybe we could talk first." "We've talked," I said. "You did the speaking part, I did the listening part, then I did the leaving part. It's a full conversation." Her eyes watered. "He's gone, you know." "I know," I said. She swallowed. "I thought he was different," I finished. "Yeah, you did." She looked down. "I was stupid." "You were bored," I said. "Stupid's curable, bored's fatal." She gave a small, bitter laugh. "You always had a way of saying the right wrong thing. I learned from the best." That one hit her. She closed her eyes and breathed in through her nose. "I miss us," she said finally. I looked at her for a long time. "You miss the version of me who didn't know. You miss being forgiven before you even asked." She didn't argue. She just sat there, silent, tears slowly finding their way down. I stood up. "You'll be fine, Brianna. You'll cry for a bit, post a few quotes about self-growth, maybe cut your hair. Then you'll find someone new to tell your half of the story to." "Is that what you think of me now?" "I don't think of you now," I said quietly. "That's the point." She nodded, stood up, wiped her face. "Can I hug you?" I thought about it, then shook my head. "Not a good idea. You tend to turn gestures into stories." Her lips trembled. "You really hate me, don't you?" I sighed. "No, hate's a commitment. I'm out of those." She nodded again, small and defeated, picked up her bag, walked to the door. When she opened it, sunlight hit her face. Too bright for that hour, too honest. She paused. "Goodbye, Mark." "Take care," I said. "And maybe next time don't confuse attention with affection." She flinched but didn't reply. Just stepped out and closed the door quietly. I stood there for a moment, listening to the sound of her car starting, the gravel crunching, the silence that followed. Then I went back to the table, picked up the papers and signed. No ceremony, no hesitation, just ink on truth. When it was done, I folded them neatly, slipped them into the envelope, and leaned back in the chair. The kitchen clock ticked like it had all the time in the world. For once, I wasn't racing it. I poured another cup of coffee, sat by the window, and watched the neighborhood wake up. Kids on bikes, a guy walking his dog, an old couple arguing about sprinklers. Real life, messy, unglamorous, completely unfiltered. 6 months later, everything looked different. Mostly because I stopped trying to fix what wasn't mine anymore. The house sold fast. A young couple bought it. Newlyweds, full of plans and optimism. I moved into a smaller apartment near the bay. Nothing fancy. 1 bedroom, brick walls, sunlight that didn't ask permission to enter. I bought second-hand furniture, kept only what felt mine. Peace, it turned out, didn't need square footage. Work got busier, or maybe I just started noticing it again. I got a promotion I didn't even chase. People said I looked calmer. Funny how leaving chaos behind makes you look like you found wisdom. On weekends, I rode my bike along the water, sometimes stopped by the same beach where I'd gone that morning after everything broke. The waves still erased footprints just as fast. Some metaphors don't retire. As for Brianna, word travels, even when you don't ask for it. She moved in with her parents for a while, then got her own place across town, started freelancing. From what I heard, Dylan transferred to another branch a month after everything fell apart. Office gossip said he needed a change of scenery. Translation: he needed new people who didn't know he was the reason someone's marriage ended. They didn't last long. That's not karma. That's just statistics. When you build something out of lies, it collapses under truth's gravity. She texted me once in winter. Just one line. "I'm trying to be better." I didn't reply. Not out of bitterness, just because she deserved to learn what silence feels like when it's earned. Sometimes I still think of her. Not with anger, not with longing. Just as a chapter that finally ended mid-sentence. If I learned anything, it's that peace doesn't come when you forgive someone. It comes when you stop needing to. If you felt this story hit hard, drop a like, subscribe for more, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support keeps Steelheart beating.